now. We're listening, Sean. How are you, buddy? Sean, of course, did one of the shows while you were out last week and was fantastic, except for the part where somebody drove into a pole outside of his house and he had to take a 45-minute break.
Yeah, and boy, it sounds like a good lying story, huh? What an excuse for me to get away from a show, right? But
seriously,
in the community, honestly, and you know what? Like 2 days ago, not 4 days, 2 days ago, I get a text sending from AT&T. We built a new pole and we extended the tower for your cell service, so I'll never have a problem again. But there you go, my 45-minute break. Plus, it gave you a chance to just dominate the show because I don't bring anything to the table. But here I am today, Dibs, and you guys. Thanks for having me
Sean.
on, man. It's great to be here.
That's
guys.
totally untrue. Mark is ball dominant, but your takes are fantastic. All you would have had to say
awesome,
is, "Hey, I've got a little situation with my bowels here. I'm going to need a few minutes." You didn't have to fabricate some story.
Yeah, no, listen, I'd have bragged about that. I'd have said I'd have let it rip, man. I got no problem with that. If you got to go, you got to go. I had no problem. Well, although I'm not that guy, I still am. I don't understand families, and maybe you guys are involved in this. I don't know. So if if I offend you, oh well. I don't understand the couples who can, like, one guy can be doing his business on the toilet, and the girl can be brushing the teeth, and they're carrying on a conversation at the same time.
No chance.
I don't get it. I don't need. That's my time.
Yes.
When I get into the bath, that's my time.
No doubt.
I don't need a conversation. Well, I wanted to talk. Brush your teeth 4 minutes after I'm done.
Exactly.
I don't need to talk. I don't want to smell what you're doing. I like you. I love you. I don't need that part. That's my time.
Agree with you. I'm usually doing Twitter on the. Anyway.
Yes, I'm reading something exactly right. Don't interrupt my social media while I'm dropping trowel.
Exactly.
It is, as they say in sports, a closed-door meeting, and it's a meeting of one. Yeah. So,
that's right.
Sean, speaking of letting it rip, I want to hear you let it rip on this, because you and I talked, it was last Thursday, and we're building up to this Trey Lance home opener. And then you see what happens, and then you see the discussion that has taken place since then. And I got to know just kind of what stands out and what you think of what everyone's saying.
Well, first off, I hate that. This doesn't need to be said, but I'm going to say it anyway. Nobody wants this to happen to Trey Lance. I was excited about seeing his transformation this year. I think we all were, right? Nobody in football, whether you're an opponent that wants to see anybody hurt, and no backup, which I've been many times, wants to get a job when somebody gets hurt. Nobody wants to see that. So quick recovery to him, and hopefully it'll be okay. And as the backup, though, your job is to let the team trust in what you're doing. And they have the best backup, who's really a starter in this league, in Jimmy Garoppolo. I was fascinated when Lorenzo and I got on the show for the Football Hour Monday night. I'm reading through social media and just comments from people around the country and everywhere about that, why is Trey Lance running the football? And my head exploded. The reason why you went and drafted Trey Lance and gave up all those assets was because he's a multi-dimensional, physical, he can throw it, he can run it, adds so much pressure on a defense. You didn't just draft him because you wanted him to beat him from the pocket. Okay, you got that guy. You wanted it because you go back to last year when Jimmy gets a sack. What's the first thing everybody says? Why aren't they running Trey Lance? He put him in. And then when he gets sacked or gets hurt running quarterback power or running the ball, why are we running Trey Lance? Well, because that's what we do in the league now. Josh Allen and Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. So and Kyle adjusting his offense to try and make it work to this skill set. Why you gave up and mortgaged those assets for Trey Lance? Unfortunately, the injury. And so I don't get it. Maybe I'm seeing a different game or watching a different game. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. When you want one, you always want the other. And when you got that guy, you want the other guy because the one guy's running. The best thing, you can't take away Trey Lance's legs. You just can't. If you do, you limit him, and you're basically saying, I'm going to take away a really good part of your game, which is a franchise quarterback skill set, but we don't know if he's going to be a franchise quarterback yet because the body of work's too small. Honestly, and in truth, for this team and what they're doing in a Super Bowl roster right now in 2022, I'm not talking about 2024, I'm talking about right now, I don't think the 49ers got worse at quarterback this past week.
Yeah,
I think they got better.
Yeah.
I think they got better.
I think those in the locker room would agree with you in the short term. The long term is yet to be determined. One thing I take issue with, Sean, is your idea of a multi-dimensional quarterback, because Kyle wouldn't allow him to use the dimension of throwing the football. And I think that's where fans are taking umbrage in the fact that Kyle seemed to not want him to throw it, so he became a unidimensional quarterback, only running. Do you see where maybe that is something that hamstrung Trey's ability to develop in the short run?
Did our power go off?
No, you're still on. My take was just too hot, perhaps.
He can't hear us, it sounds like. It sounds like he can't hear us. So, yeah, let's get Sean
Let's
back
him
on.
back.
You know what, though?
I had Sean on his heels. That's what happened.
No.
Just like the car that crashed into the pole. Salisbury looking for a reset because Dibley had him on the hot seat.
All right. Okay. So he had run the ball. This is the stat that everybody is grabbing. Okay. Sean, did you hear Dibs' question or no?
I heard most of it.
Okay.
It's the Lucy app. That wasn't on me. So nobody ran into a
Lucy.
post.
Lucy pulled the ball away from Charlie again.
Lucy.
Can you see it? And Dibs, where I got you said not throwing it, used him as a, he wasn't a
more
multi-dimensional.
unidimensional than multidimensional, yeah.
Right. And you asked, can I see a fan's perspective that way? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Of course I can. Of course I can. But that wasn't how it was presented to me when they were doing it. If you want to tell me, if somebody says, Sean, running the ball is fine, but could we use him more on booting out and throwing on the run, throwing from the pocket, changing his lawn points to throw it? Yes, and that tells you something, Dibs. You know what it does? Kyle doesn't trust that right now, and I don't know why. I'm not there to see it every day on the practice field, so I am 100% with anybody who says that they don't want the one dimension just to be a run. Of course, inside power and outside zone and RPO, but always RPO where the option is hand or keep on the run. I don't want him running 27 times a game. I like the change-up pitch mix. And I thought, and I'll still tell you this, when I saw him, when you watch him come out of school, the ability to do guys, when I was coming out and over the last, 12 years, 15 years ago, when you said a guy was a dual threat quarterback, he was small and he was a runner, and he was the best runner on our team, so we put him at quarterback. He didn't throw, right? Now that guy is Josh Allen. Is the YU draft of Trey Lance. It's Patrick Mahomes. And even though he's not a full-fledged runner, he rushed for 500 yards. Those guys that extend plays, but that can also on 3rd and 1, Justin Fields, try to take quarterback power and get in the end zone against Green Bay. I do take umbrage, and I'm with you. If you present to me, well, Sean, do you like the game plan of not allowing him to get into a rhythm throwing the ball? No, I hate it. That part I do hate. But to say Kyle Shanahan wanted to get him hurt so Jimmy could play, it's absurd, right?
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm calling plays, listen, he didn't beat out Jimmy, as we talked about earlier this week on the show, or last week. He didn't beat out Jimmy. He was given the job for one. He was all the assets. Two, you liked his ability to bust through what they didn't think Jimmy could. Jimmy got him to a point. They believe at some point Trey Lance could bust through that and get him over the top. Well, we haven't seen enough work to do it. Now he's hurt, which is unfortunate. So for me, if I'm calling offense, I'm not saying I'm better than Kyle, but I got to use the skills that are presented to me. Now you don't have that dual threat skill, and you're going to go back to throwing and working your run game and your cutback run game and mixing in RPO with Jimmy, and you lose that threat. So I do have a problem with limiting the kid, allowing him to get into rhythm, but I do not have a problem with you telling me he's going to run it 8 to 10 times a game, either designed or on the scramble, at all.
Yeah, Sean, I'm with you. And by the way, just to add some numbers to this, because everybody has grabbed the stat, Trey Lance, 2.5 games last year, game and a half this year, essentially a total of about 4 games. And I guess he's got 49 career rushes, which is actually, it's a little on the high side of the number you just threw out there. But so what is that? About 12 rushes per game if you run it out. And we keep going, well, he's not passing. 102 pass attempts. Okay? In his career now, in 4 games, 102 pass attempts. Now, we can talk about how they looked. I do believe there were trust issues, but who doesn't have trust issues for a 22-year-old player? I mean, is that not a fair distribution of the play calling in your mind?
Right. Well, and I'm focused on this year. Well, we didn't get enough of the game last week, and then the first week when people were mad about it? Well, the ball handling. The same people that were mad that he ran it too much didn't want to throw because the weather was too bad to throw it, right? So you can't win for losing. But if you're going back to last year and over the course of it, I agree. Now, and I can take you back to those runs. And the distribution of it, basically what you said, 100 passes and 49 runs. But not all 49 of those runs, what people have to understand, and they blame it on the play caller, were not all designed runs. Those aren't all designed runs. Those are drop back, protection breakdown, scramble, go make a run. Those are inside zone, fake or RPO, and then keep it and go. So it's a mix of all of them. And let's not also say it's not just when he scrambles. There are times, and you can go back and look, because I've seen every one of his throws, Trey Lance, since he's been in this league, is where he may not like the receiver and come off the second guy and doesn't make the throw that he wants to. So he leaves the pocket too early at times. And why? Because we all lean on the things we do great, and he's an enormous talent, and it's unfair for him with 4 games for us to judge it. Unfair for us to say Kyle doesn't know what he's doing with him, because it's been an up and down, and last year he hadn't settled in. Now this year he's hurt. And so I understand the feel of it, but if you're talking about both years, that distribution is good, and some of those runs are going to be on the quarterback because he's not getting through his progressions as most young guys don't, because they're still learning the game mentally. So it's a combination of a lot of things. But moving forward, if Trey Lance was still your quarterback, you have got to expand the offense. This league is too good, and coordinators are too good for you to be a one-dimensional player, especially as the one-dimensional of throwing it if you're not the guy who can sit in the pocket, deliver it on time, process information, been in the league a while and throw it accurately. That's not his strength yet. He's got big playability, but what it does, it stretches the defense when you can do both. Now we're back to Jimmy, and in truth, Jimmy's seen more football. He should be more adept at reading coverage. He's not as talented as Trey Lance, but right now he's a better passer. He's a better, more consistent passer. The question is, when protection breaks down, now what? And that was a Trey Lance strength, which sometimes you lean on, not only as a coach, but as a quarterback.
Yeah, by the way, just for the record, 54 career runs, 102 career passes, so kind of a 2-to-1 ratio. You mentioned the progression, Sean. How does Trey Lance learn to be able to go through the progression? Is that something that he can learn in the meeting room, or does he have to learn that on the field with actual live game reps?
I think it's both, Dibs, and here's why. One is, you will get to a point. Now, listen, even the Bradys of the world, and I know this sounds crazy at 23 years in, and it sounds hyperbolic, and it also sounds like it's cliche. But myself, 10 years into the league, I felt, right when you figure it out mentally, usually physically you can't do it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Then there's those guys that are freak shows that, the light switch goes on, and Brady's been knowing what's going on. But I can guarantee you, even in year 10, 11, 12, quarterbacks are still figuring out, because now we're so specialized with the way people are playing zone and man and pressures and all that and specialization. But, yeah, you can do both, and you have to do both. Quarterbacks I train, I said, for every hour we're on the field physically training and going through walk-through coverage and going through the physical mechanics of throwing a football and seeing stuff, I need to spend an hour or two with you on the mental side. So you should match it 1-for-1 or 2-for-1 mental to physical, because you'll always somebody's always going to be better physically. But if you prepare yourself and understand I call it find the conflict, and I got the answers to the test. The answers to the test are in the study. Your natural ability takes over. But what happens if you don't understand or haven't got enough experience seeing it is you go back into, things become rushed, and you don't trust that the next window's open and understanding the concept, not only of defense, but also of offense, of what you're trying to accomplish, because, hell, you're swimming. We've all been there. 4 starts. If you want to, I'm not even a first-round pick, but 4 starts into the NFL for me, you're like, damn, okay. You're like, okay, you're almost talking to yourself. So you can. And while he's hurt, you're still studying tape. Study what you did. Study what Jimmy's doing. Study what other quarterbacks. But you got to understand what you're trying to accomplish, and the coaches as well. And I would spend time with the defensive coordinator. I always say this. Ask him how he would defend you. How would you defend me in 3rd and 7, knowing you know my game? Because they'll be honest with you. They're not coaching you. They're trying to coach even on your own team. So, but I had I've had a lot of them, but one NFL head coach, I asked him, I said, what's your philosophy on young players and learning? He said, listen, the chalkboard and the whiteboard don't move. You can learn to a certain point, but at some point in time, the audition ain't the real stuff. So you can go and practice. It's like we practice, but when it's real, You got to see how it moves because it is urgent and it is fast and it is furious. So, yeah, I think I always learn better if you're tough by seeing it and being involved in it. But if you're not preparing to be involved in it, you're not going to be very good while you're in it.
Sean Salisbury with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. Hey, Sean, before you run, give us an NFC power rank and tell me when do you get to the Niners?
I go for right now, from what I've seen, 2 weeks. Philadelphia's 1. Hurts has elevated his game, and they got a good roster. Tampa Bay's 2, but I'm concerned about their receivers. I get to now 3's a scramble. I don't trust Green Bay yet. The Vikings proved to me that they're average. I guess if you talk about record, the way the Giants are playing, but I think that's a little smoke and mirrors. I don't think they're the best team. With Jimmy, I'd probably elevate him. I guess you throw the Rams in there and the Cardinals, but both of them have been up and down. I don't have a third team right now. Yeah. I really don't. I don't have a third team in the NFC. I think there's 5 of them that are scrambling around for it. We'll see how the 49ers react, but the AFC is pretty dominant. The 2 best teams are obviously the Bills and Chiefs, but Philadelphia and Tampa, and number 3 hopefully will emerge this week, and maybe it'll be the 49ers.
Dodging questions like Neo dodging bullets in the Matrix. Well done, Sean.
What part did I miss out on?
The
Rams?
Yeah, the Rams.
The 49ers roster?
The Rams are third.
No, Sean, you're right.
Today I'd put the Rams third.
Thank you.
Do you trust that Green Bay is great right now? I don't. I don't trust them yet, but the quarterback tells me they're in the top 5, I guess.
Ayahuasca.
The Rams, the Rams, but I don't right now. I don't know who the 49ers are, and you guys don't either. Right. I know their roster, but I got to see how the quarterback responds. I'm not evading any question. I know this. The AFC is far better.
Yeah.
Far better than the NFC.
Can we just skip ahead to Kansas City Buffalo in the AFC Championship?
Yeah, and I got news for you. Nobody wants to roll into Buffalo in Orchard Park and play in January the way that quarterback and that defense is playing.
Man, you're right.
You better have a good supply of body bags if they're playing this well then.
No joke. Although Justin Herbert may have something to say about this Lamar Jackson too.
I feel you, brother.
Yep. Hey, Sean. Love it, Sean. Great stuff, man. Great to talk to you again.
You guys are awesome, man. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you. There you go, Sean Salisbury.